Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. I know it's not Halloween. Alright, that's long past. But when it came to my Halloween videos, I ran out of time and I couldn't upload everything I wanted to. So that's why I'm uploading them past Halloween. But if you stop and look at it like this, at some point in time, it's gonna be Halloween time again, October. So somebody eventually will stumble upon my videos and watch it around Halloween time. So yeah, and I'm here today to talk to you about Goosebumps, Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. So this is a pretty entertaining episode. It's not really all that scary, but it is pretty eerie. One of the reasons why it's not that spooky scary is because there's so much humor in this episode and bright colors and stuff. However, the bright colors does make it seem more comedic and a little bit more like 90s cheesy and stuff. Along with like the humor and all this other stuff. So this episode is very similar to the Haunting Hour, what was that called? Pumpkinheads, because they're both written by R.L. Stine. Now, the Haunting Hour came out many years after Goosebumps. So this was its predecessor and everything. And, you know, the Pumpkinhead episode from the Haunting Hour was a bit more creepier and stuff. However, this episode had much more personality. I'll tell you this right here, right now. Boy, I would have loved to have been a teenager in the 90s playing on a Goosebumps television show rather than just watching it on TV or reading the books as a teenager. Why? Man, they look like they had so much fun. The costumes, the settings, they're always getting chased by something. Like, who wouldn't want to run being a kid or teenager, you know? And this episode has a chase sequence. You never really saw that much in the Haunting Hour. Nobody really ever got chased. But in Goosebumps, man, somebody is always getting chased. And it's always near like a park or the woods or somewhere outside. Boy, I tell you, like they must have had a blast being on Goosebumps. Like they just had to, man. Oh, I would have killed to be on Goosebumps. So this episode has two recurring Goosebumps actors. The first person, Erica, who plays Drew. Now, she is best known for voicing Keisha on the original The Magic School Bus. And, you know, she also was in Piano Lessons or Murder. But when she was in that, she only literally had a cameo, which always bugged the crap out of me. Because once I realized who she was and everything, I'm all like, how come she didn't have a bigger role? And also what's special about this episode is she's one of the few black stars on Goosebumps to actually have a prominent leading role in everything. She's biracial. And when it comes to Goosebumps, it's predominantly white and everything. And, you know, there aren't that many female leads and there aren't that many people of color leads on Goosebumps. And the other recurring character is the dude who plays Shane. He was in the Phantom of the Auditorium. And back to the whole race thing, Lee, one of the bullies in like, you know, the books and stuff, he was black in the books, but for whatever reason, they made him white in the television show, which is really irritating and stuff. Now, Drew is, like I said before, is black in the show, but she's biracial. Now, in the books, they never really tell her race. That's one thing about R.L. Stine. He never really reveals the race. So it doesn't really matter what race she is in the show. But, like, yeah. Lee is supposed to be black, and they made him white, which is so irritating and frustrating. And so this episode is classic Goosebumps. It's like, you know, the boy-girl duo, but times 3. There are 3 groups of the boy-girl duo. And, you know, there are bullies, and like, you know, there are monsters, and there's a chase sequence and everything. And there's a dream sequence. And the dream sequence is always more scarier than what's going on in the actual episode. Same way with the haunting hour. So, Drew and her new friend, her new best friend, Walker, they're just, well, walking down the street. Walker walking down the street. Little Sally Walker walking down the street. Anyway, so they're walking down the street and they're talking about like Halloween and all this other stuff. And he's talking about how, like, his parents might not let him go trick-or-treating because of all the missing people lately. There are 4 missing people and they're in the newspaper. Now what's different is that the missing people in the book are all overweight, but these people don't look overweight, and there's a reason why they're overweight. So as they're walking and everything, somebody is like spying on them and stuff. And so at some point in time, I don't know if this happens first or later, but they meet Drew's old best friends, Shane and Shauna. And Shane and Shauna used to, I don't even know if they're brother and sister, but they used to live in like the neighborhood and stuff before they moved. Now, Walker don't know who they are, but I think in the book, I believe he knew who they were because they lived there before they moved and stuff. And so, like, they're just talking about, like, trick-or-treating and this and that and missing people. And then somebody in like a werewolf costume comes up and scares Drew. Drew is petrified beyond belief. And then who is it? None other than Tabitha and Lee, the neighborhood bullies. And Tabitha and Lee, they know who Shane and Shauna are, and they don't like them and stuff. And so after they leave and stuff, Drew is really frustrated. She hates Tabitha and Lee. And then, Shane and Shauna are like, that sucks. They're still like tormenting you and everything. And that's literally what they do. So it's classic R.L. Stine, you know what I'm saying? It's that main character always getting bullied by somebody. And it makes you wonder, why does R.L. Stine and Goosebumps make so many of his lead characters getting bullied by a bully? And even in The Haunting Hour, there's a couple of bullies and stuff. It makes me wonder if R.L. Stine himself was ever bullied growing up and stuff. Because most people write themselves in their books and stuff. So anyways, she tells them, she's going trick-or-treating as like a superhero. And so Walker doesn't know what he'll be. But then anyway, Shane and Sean's all like, oh, well, we're going to get Tabitha and Lee back. So they're all like, what you need to do is invite them to go trick-or-treating and we'll just handle the rest. And so that's what Drew does, She calls up Tabitha and Lee and invite them. And Tabitha, they must be brother and sister, Tabitha and Lee or something, because they're hanging out in the same house and stuff at night. And so, but then that's weird because they didn't say nothing about Tabitha being black in the books. So maybe they're just hanging out like as friends. But anyway, Tabitha is on to them and she knows something is up. And so like she goes along with it, but she plans on tricking them first before they prank them and everything. But they never say how she plans on like pranking them or whatever. So they agree to meet up and everything. And so next thing you know, we see all of them trick-or-treating and stuff. Well, we see Walker, Drew, Shane, and Shauna trick-or-treating. And so they're going to this one house. And this old, sweet, kind-hearted lady with a sweet voice opens the door. And she just loves their costumes. And she tells them, my husband is old and sick and he's up in the bed and he would love to see your costume. Just come on in. It'll be real fast. And as this is going on, the environment is getting kind of hazy. Her voice is like sounding kind of echoey and it's very creepy as the music is going on. The kids feel nervous going in this person's house and up the stairs, and as they should. You ain't supposed to go in a stranger's house. I don't care how old they are. And so like because some old people are strong. And so they're creeped out. They're going upstairs, and her voice is sounding creepier and creepier. And they're creeping their way up the stairs. And when they open the door, there are tons of kids in Halloween costumes and chains. And there's a man, a creepy old man, sinister looking, with this weird, gooey, like green, scaly, like discharge rash type thing on the side of his cheek. And there's Shane and there's Shauna screaming for help, and the old woman is just cackling and everything. And it's so creepy and disturbing, but it's a dream sequence. I'm like, no. So Drew was like dreaming the entire time because she's worried about getting, like, kidnapped and stuff. And so she's in her costume. She's super Drew. It's one of the cheesiest costumes I've ever seen. But not as cheesy as Walker's. And so Drew's parents don't want her going trick-or-treating because they're worried about the kids getting, like, kidnapped and stuff. Well, at least her mom is worried. The dad's all like, she'll be fine. She'll be with a group of people. And boy, I'm telling you, Drew, she's making her case. She's all like, people get taken all the time. And everything. But her mom finally agrees to let her go trick-or-treating. And, nowadays, you don't see kids going trick-or-treating that much. So Walker shows up in a strange costume. He has a black leather jacket on. He has like a black mask that has, like, it shows his face. And nobody knows what the world he is. Like, nobody does. And not even Drew's dad. And so when he asks, he's all like, I'm a dark and stormy night. I'm like, what? So then he, like, whips out a water gun and shoots Drew's dad with it, wetting him up. That is the lamest costume I have ever seen. And it shows his personality, kind of. So anyways, they go off trick-or-treating, and they find Tabitha and Lee, who are dressed as space people, but in the book is completely different. I think she's a ballerina, and I forget what he is, other than being black. And so, like, they're looking for Shane and Shauna, but they can't find them. Then all of a sudden, two people dressed all like in a black like poncho and have two pumpkin heads scare them with, like, lobster claws and everything. And the mask looks pretty sinister, like the pumpkin heads, they got that sinister look to them. And so Tabitha and Lee's all like, oh, nice try, Shane and Shauna, you can't scare us. But then Drew's all like, crap, dude, I don't think it's them. And so the Pumpkinhead people are all like, oh, we know some great neighborhoods for you to go trick-or-treating in, and this way. So they go, and where they go feels like a parallel dimension from where they was at. It looks like Christmas, but Halloween themed and everything. And so there are tons of decorations lighting up everywhere. This is where all the color comes from an episode. So they go to, like, all these houses, and they go to, like, the people. And the people are just pouring candy in their bags, making the kids very happy. Boy, when I used to go trick-or-treating, boy, my thing was stuffed and everything with candy. Anyways. So next thing you know, the people who were giving the candy, they look weird. They look zombified and everything, like they're under a spell. Then when the kids leave, they transform into pumpkin heads. Very odd and very disturbing. It's like, where are they at, So then after a while, they get very tired because they've been walking for so long, and their bags are super heavy and everything. And so they tell the Pumpkinhead people, let us go home, we're tired and everything. And so, like, they're like, no. But they're like, our bags are so heavy. And so the Pumpkinhead people just, like, toss the candy out the bags, like, now you can trick-or-treat more. And then they start to realize something. They're like, no, it's you. You're the one who's been kidnapping all those people and stuff. And so then the kids, as tired as they are, they just take off running. And so they're running, and it's a nice silhouette of them running through, like, what looks like the woods and everything. And it just looks creepy as the kids are, like, silhouette and they're running through the woods. And this is why I'm saying Goosebumps is so cool, man. It would have been so great to be on Goosebumps, just running around acting stupid. And so, like, Then the Pumpkinhead people, they catch up with them. And then next thing you know, the Pumpkinhead people, they start shooting like flames out their mouths. And they start like shooting lasers from like, their claws and stuff. But this happens before they take off running. And then next thing you know, they take off their heads. And there's nobody underneath and everything. And so this just freaks Shane and Shauna out. And they take off running. And so, no, wait. When they take off their heads, no, okay, no, I'm getting something confused. Before they took off running, one of the heads fell off, and it was nothing underneath. There was like no head on. There was like no person's head underneath, and it rolled on the ground. So this is what caused them to run and chase. But then they take their heads off a second time, and there are like these two, I think, two little alien like no, wait. I'm getting confused right now. I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, before they took off running, one of the heads rolled off and it turned out to be nothing underneath, like no head. So anyway, after they scared the piss out of Shane and Shauna, Drew is just like laughing hysterically. Walker is scared. He don't know what's going on. And he's all like, this is Shane and Shauna. He's like, how? Because flames were shooting out. There was no head underneath, the claws, the lightning. So then they transform into smaller, like, people. And then they turn out to be Shane and Shauna. So they're still wearing the ponchos and stuff, but the pumpkin heads are now gone. And she's all like, Shane and Shauna are aliens and everything. And, they were my best friends, and that's why they had to leave. And so Walker's kind of like, crap, dude, aliens are real. And so they talk about how they had a blast at Halloween, and and they have to leave and they have to come back next Halloween and everything. And they told and so they ripped off their faces. They had like rubber people faces, and they're like weird little alien heads, typical 90s alien little squishy heads and stuff. And so this is their real form. And so their spaceship comes down, and Walker's just like beyond belief and everything. And I think they talk about make sure you don't eat too much candy because, you don't want to get too fat and everything because, that's what they like. And so then they start to realize something. They're like, wait, hold up. Are y'all the ones really kidnapping people? And they're like, yeah, this is what we eat. Like, we eat people and stuff. Like, that's their diet or whatever. But they like them really plump and stuff. So this is why in the books, all the people missing was overweight. Also in the books, they force the kids to eat tons and tons of candy, but they don't do that in the show. And so, they tell them don't eat too much and everything because that's what we like. Indicating that they might just eat them next year and stuff. So now Drew is finally creeped out and everything. And they just look up as the spaceship is like floating off into space. I gotta say, I love that twist ending so much. It's like twist on twist on twist. And it was just great ending. And it was a pretty creepy, kind of eerie episode. A little spooky, but not really scary because of all the humor stuff in there. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.